What is good, Internet? It is the No Justice Podcast, home to the pettiest nerds on the internet. We are your hosts, David, Zach, and Adam. Unfortunately, Zach won't be here with us today. Personal matters came up. Won't get into that too much. But we are joined by a special guest and an associate and a good friend of ours. Everybody give it up for Kyler from the Noob Network. Say what's up, Kyler.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. We normally do this every other week, but this is an emergency episode because some bullshit went down. So before we get into that, let's how's everybody's week been? Adam, how you been, bro? Adam, oh Lord, Kyler, how are you doing?
My weekend's good. It's actually probably about the same as Adam's. I could probably that's about as much as
an empty void.
Yeah.
Adam, can you hear us, bro?
Yeah, now I can hear you. It's like everything blanked out. I was like, hello?
Oh, Jesus. Okay, I was asking how your week was, bro.
It's all right. Like yesterday, somebody called in, so I ended up having to work like an extra 4 hours. So that was fun. Same old, same old.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to add, Kyler?
No, like that's about it. Just been working a lot and excited to think about things that are other than work that might be more infuriating. But hey, I'll take it.
Okay. Yeah, speaking of which, I'm not even gonna go into my weeks because I can tell you I'm just pissed off right now. So
this is Dave's week right here.
Okay. So if y'all haven't heard the news or been under a rock, look. So Sony has broke away from Marvel. Meaning they have pretty much taken Spider-Man away from the MCU. Allegedly. We don't know the exact details, but pretty much after Far From Home broke $1 billion, I guess supposedly Disney approached Sony once more to renegotiate the terms of the contract for Spider-Man, and they couldn't find a common ground, and so Sony backed out, even though previously what we found out was Sony would only really take Spider-Man back if Far From Home didn't break $1 billion worldwide, which it did. So we all thought that, okay, everything's good. We can have Spider-Man in the MCU still. Nope. So, okay, I think we all know the drill by now. I'm going to go on a rant if I take control too long. So, Adam, we'll start with general thoughts before we get into the nitty gritty of this shit. Adam, how are you feeling about the news, bro?
I'm just because we can't keep a consistent Spider-Man story going on. Everything was going great with Tom Holland and everything, because a whole lot more than the Amazing Spider-Man and this Raimi trilogy and all that bullshit. Yes, we're finally going to get some good Spider-Man stuff. We're going to get a third Spider-Man movie, see how he handles with his identity revealed, and then this shit happens. And I'm just like, we just got a good Spider-Man. So, like, what's going to happen now? Are we going to lose him, or are they going to make somebody else do this again?
Okay. Kyler, how you feeling, bro?
I think initially I was just, pretty pissed, and it kind of came out of left field, and it's just with how good everything is going, it's just one of those things that comes up, and there's really no, at least from a consumer standpoint, there's no reason to even have these discussions. Just keep things as is, and we can all be like happy and merry about it. But now that I've kind of kind of researched more and read up more on the events seems like we're still learning stuff every day. I definitely at first I was like, oh man, I hate Sony. And then I was like, oh, I hate Disney. And now I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm just like, I don't know who to hate the most right now. Like, it seems just like a big mess. And I'm expecting, Dave, that your clarity and sound mind will come through and sway me in the direction it needs to go.
Something like that, I guess. But I will endeavor to try to maybe play devil's advocate here.
All right.
Typically, I'm able to do this, but the subject matter is Spider-Man, so viewer discretion is advised.
We're going to take a 2-minute break to make you consider if you want to continue listening or not.
Shit. Okay. Let's try to set the table a little bit here, because yeah, this news story is still fairly new, so and new information is coming out. So I will say that take whatever information we are giving with a grain of salt, because not everything is confirmed. A lot of this is allegedly. The only thing that's been confirmed is Sony pulled out. Pause. But but yeah, so once more, take it with a grain of salt. This is still fresh. Not everything has been said and done regarding the situation, so things are subject to change. However, where everything stands now, I don't like the direction. So let's start off with the deal itself. Sony and Disney had a renegotiation regarding the Spider-Man property. Kevin Feige was the lead producer for Spider-Man in the MCU. Sony still owned them. Sony still got the majority of profits from the movies. Disney got a 5% off of 5% off of every dollar, or every pretty much they got 5% of everything. Disney decided, okay, Far From Home did extremely well. Let's renegotiate the contract. Disney pretty much wanted a 50-50 split of the profits. Sony pretty much said, no, we keep the deal as is. Disney said, fuck that. Excuse my language. No, don't excuse my language.
I'm pretty sure that's what they said. Quote. Yeah, I think it's right here. Quote. Disney said.
Now, let's look at that situation specifically. In most deals, we'll just take it to the basic level. In a deal like this, where one person provides one service and the other person provides the other part of it, you would think a 50-50 split is completely fair, right? I mean, Sony brings in Spider-Man because they have the movie rights to him. Disney and Marvel Studios brings in the creative direction, and I believe Sony had had a hand in the casting as well, because apparently, if I remember correctly, Marvel had actually wanted somebody else to play Spider-Man, but it was Sony's casting who had chose Tom Holland. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that is a point in Sony's favor. But when you look at the deal that was established initially for Spider-Man between Sony and Disney, you kind of have to look at both sides. So the initial deal essentially was Sony had still retained the property rights or the movie rights to Spider-Man. Marvel still, even before this deal happened, retained merchandise sales. Like, that was, I don't know if it was 100% of merchandise sales or just the vast majority.
I believe it was 100% from the things I read. Yeah. So
pretty much Marvel was making bank period off of Spider-Man, but they just didn't get the movie. They didn't get the total sum of the movie money. Okay, fine. So I can understand where Sony was coming from on that front. However, let's look at, do you think I should kind of give context of how Sony and not Marvel had the movie rights to Disney right now? I mean, the movie rights to Spider-Man? Because I think... all right. Yeah. Because
just give people more of a... I think the more people can have like a good like foundation of understanding, the more they can...
Okay, fair enough.
In the point you're bringing up.
Okay. I know we're getting off of a tangent here, but this was literally a last second decision to make this episode. But okay, to give people context who did not know the backgrounds of this shit. Back back in the, I want to say 90s, Marvel, the comic book publisher, was going bankrupt. In order to save themselves, they sold the movie rights to a shit ton of their characters. It was that serious. Like, Marvel was in a bad spot back in the day. And so to counter that, they literally had to sell almost every movie right to their characters. That didn't mean that they didn't have control of the characters at all, because if that was the case, Marvel really wouldn't exist anymore. But right. Since then, Marvel was bought out by Disney, and Disney has been slowly but surely getting those rights back. Then you fast forward to 2008, where we get the first of the MCU movies, Iron Man. It's been a plan in the works for way longer than 10 plus years. This is like maybe a 20-year plan that's been going on. So you get Disney, who bought out Fox to get a shit ton of their characters back, but the three major studios who have significant movie properties of characters are Disney, Marvel Studios, Sony, and Universal. Now, you might be asking, okay, who does Universal have? Well, they got characters such as Namor and the Incredible Hulk. That's also partially the reason why you haven't seen a solo Hulk movie,
right? Yeah,
in so long. Sony, of course, has almost everything related to Spider-Man. On top of, I was talking about this before we started recording, but Sony has 900 plus characters that they bought out from Marvel for their movie properties. That's a lot of fucking characters. So yeah, that lets you know how much Marvel had to sell. So now we're fast forwarding to the current events. I'm trying to resist the urge to pop off, because the more I think about it, I can't. Like, I'm trying
Adam,
my best.
We need to say something to trigger him. Just let this happen. We need to let this be organic and real, visceral.
Nah, bro, because this is gonna be the episode that actually pops up on YouTube, and motherfuckers gonna be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" Bro, y'all saw some of the memes I was posting. I wasn't all the way joking on those.
And the memes have been fire lately. It's crazy.
Oh my god. Okay.
It is funny too, though, that I always think it's funny that the movie that Marvel and Disney mainly produced and created and made is Sony's best-selling film now.
Yeah.
Sony can't make their own best-selling movie.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, because I'm gonna bring that up later. I am gonna bring that up later.
Because let's be real, like, Sony movies, like, in the most part, are mediocre at best. Like in their long history of films, except like classic Sony stuff, there's a lot of gems in there, but especially recently, like, it's kind of a dumpster of films that Sony's been.
Like, I'm not gonna.
Didn't they just do the Men in Black? Is that Sony?
Honestly, outside of the superheroes, I did not know who the fuck was created by who. Like, I never paid attention to that prior to superhero movies.
Yeah, they've got some pretty bad films.
You know what? I tried to do this, people. I tried to be professional about this, but this is literally going to come off the top of the dome, because this is all feelings right now. I'll try to put facts in there, but this is going to be all feelings. I will admit that here and now. So here's my main issue. Here's what I want to clarify before I go any deeper with this shit. It's not about Sony or Disney / the MCU. Because the one thing I've noticed since this news popped, people have been drawing lines in the sand of, Disney is just trying to bully and become a monopoly. I can understand that. Or Sony is just bad, boo Sony, boycott Sony. No. My thing is, as purely a consumer, as a fan of Spider-Man, it only makes sense to my mind that Spider-Man be home, aka Marvel. It's not about Disney for me. It's about this character who was created by the name Marvel should be with every other character that was made by Marvel. It's just that simple for me. I get the business side of this is a top selling brand name. This is a household name that everybody across the world knows about. I get that. I don't give a fuck. I don't care about these businesses. I just don't. I just don't. Like, no, you get your money when you make me happy. That's how that works for me. So,
well, that was I had the thought too. Sorry to cut you off for a second, ahead. But like literally right before this podcast, the first thought I had, I literally just imagine if someone came to me and I was in charge of, let's say hypothetically, I'm in charge of Marvel, and someone came to me and was like, "Hey, I have like a magic wand. Would you like all the rights to all of your characters that you originally created back under one roof so you can do whatever the hell you want with them? Or would you maybe like the possibility of making more or less money with all these other companies?" It's like, of course I want all these characters to be with Marvel. And so to agree with your point, it's like Sony had its run. All these studios, Fox, they've had their run. But Fox is also another great point that you get to a point where like you got to pass the baton. Like you've dried up the lake. You're out of creative ideas. Your movies suck. Like give them back to the team that at least is going somewhere in a direction that has already proven to be so successful. So if I mean, I love Sony too, but if it was up to me, I would just say Sony has zero rights to Spider-Man and they're just all with Marvel, kind of like what you were saying in my perfect world.
Yeah. Like, and I'm glad you said that because they don't have any rights to them because, okay, look at the MCU. As much as people, this channel, this podcast, the No Justice Network, we have said more times than not, we're not the biggest fans of the MCU as a whole. Like, there are those standout movies that we will praise up and down, but the MCU is not perfect. We know that. We have called bullshit on some of their shit before. But what makes the MCU better than every other superhero franchise or movie that has come out in the recent decades is the fact that, unlike all of them, they are basing their movies off of the comic books. Granted, they remix them. We all know that. But they are picking, the MCU has picked some of the best comic book stories in history to base their movies off of. The titles grab the comic book the comic book fans. God. Somebody else talk before me. I am gonna kill these fucking trains. I am fucking heated. Somebody talk before me. God damn it.
I do a podcast. There's always a train. It's like they're onto your schedule.
Thomas the Tank wants his shine too. He's tired of hearing about all this Marvel shit.
Fuck these goddamn trains. Somebody else talk about this shit right now, please.
Oh man, Adam, do you have anything to add? What is your stance on trains and how they make noise?
Very entertaining because they come in at the
right.
Y'all talking about trains is actually pissing me off more right now.
We're just getting you ready for when you come back. Tell us how you really feel.
I actually need a moment to compose myself. Kyle or Adam, please, somebody take over. Please.
Oh man, I don't know, man. It's just I think to just go, not necessarily to go deeper into the situation, but I think someone did, so I posted a recent message, which was kind of like, you were talking about drawing lines in the sand. I guess I posted a Facebook post that was just a comment saying like, like the more I researched it, I was at first like, oh, Sony sucks. But I was like, the more I research it, I almost feel like it might be more on the Disney side that might be more unreasonable why this deal really didn't work or whatever, which I still am not 100% on. It was just like a thought I shot out on there, and someone had commented, "Oh," and I don't know if they were saying like, "Oh, it's gonna work out and be fine, and this is all just for show," but someone just said like, "Oh, well, this is just drama. They're trying to cook up to get ready for like the next Venom movies and to set up all this stuff." And I'm like, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if even a month from now, like Marvel and Sony are like, actually, like we're all good, and this was just a publicity stunt to just, I don't know,
Kind of like
to
some
work you
rap
guys
beef.
up to like it more. Yeah, like I don't know. Is from what I've read, I mean, initially I would not think so. I think that would actually be like, even if they were kind of doing that, I would much rather have that be the case than what we know now. But it did kind of make me think, companies are not afraid, especially big companies are not afraid to pull stuff like that. So, but yeah, I don't know how much to buy into that. Just someone else's thoughts. I thought was interesting.
What do you think Disney is going to do to combat this? Do you think they're going to try to buy out Sony at this point?
They should. Like they got enough money. Well, I don't know though. After that, since they just bought Fox, I'm sure they could, but they probably have to still. I don't know about if recoup is the right word, but they probably still have to take a second to kind of realize, like, because they did just spend an immense amount of money to buy Fox. So I think they could eventually buy Sony, but knowing Sony as they are, especially as a Japanese company, they are very kind of set in their ways. They would be probably one of the last companies that would sell out to another company. So I think in the long run, I don't think Sony would allow it to happen unless it was like a Marvel situation and how they got Spider-Man, where like Sony's going bankrupt or whatever, but they're not. I don't think Sony is going anywhere anytime soon, I guess, with all the other things they got going on.
If I were Disney, Marvel, you know what I would do? I wouldn't even stress over it.
Punch him in the throat.
That's what David would do.
Excuse me, can I see you in my office, please?
I need the entirety of Sony Industries to line up to my office and proceed to get roundhouse kick Chuck Norris style, please. But no, that's what David would do. But nondescript CEO man, David, what I would do is I wouldn't even stress over this, because here's the thing. The MCU is the biggest superhero brand for movies right now. They are undeniably the titan of the movie industry when it comes to this shit. So Sony saying we're taking Spider-Man, we're taking our ball back with us, I'll just be like, cool, all right, y'all have fun with that, while I have all of these other characters and titles that I can be drawing from. Because it's something I just now thought of. Marvel has been able to use comic book stories to base their movies off of. Sony has not once. There's not one Spider-Man story outside of the origin story that they have done for 2 fucking versions of Spider-Man.
Going on maybe a third or fourth.
Probably going on a third. That, like, they're all original stories. They are not based on anything. So it's just like, what in the modern day right now, what could Sony do? Because the only thing that I saw that somewhat matched up to the origin story / actual story arc of a character was Miles in Spider-Verse. But right. Even then, that's almost a clickbait title, because that's not actually how the Spider-Verse event went down in comics at all. So,
like, wasn't Miles not even like a part of the original Spider-Verse event?
No, he was a part of it, but his origin story didn't tie into it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So they just pretty much blended those two things together and made some type of amalgamation of it. But so I'm wondering I would have to know the details, but I wonder if Sony has the rights to specific Spider-Man stories and titles. Because if they don't, Marvel actually has a stronger position to renegotiate from here on out. If for whatever reason Sony's movies bomb at this point. But yeah, if I'm the CEO of Marvel or Disney and Sony pulls out, I'm just like, okay, cool. I got the X-Men. This the second biggest team from Marvel that people fucking care about. Well, actually, they're actually bigger than Avengers. The movies got people gassed up though. So
they were more popular for a lot longer too. Like people recognized X-Men more than Avengers.
Yeah,
there were a lot of people when Avengers came out. They're like, "What? Like, what's an Avenger?"
Yeah, like the people everybody loves now, those are B-list characters in Marvel. So wait till the actual A-listers get on fucking MCU. But yeah, so that's what I would do if I was the CEO. But before I mentioned, Sony has not the rights to 900 characters from Marvel. Don't y'all find it strange that out of all that 900, the only one they've ever pulled the trigger on was Spider-Man? That tells me that they are not confident in doing anything else. They want the safe bet, because think about it. After the whole entire deal with MCU first came through and Spider-Man went into the MCU, you heard talks of Sony wanting to do a Black Cat and Silver Sable's solo movie.
Oh yeah.
There was always the talks about the Sinister Six movie. There were pretty much, you heard all these heard about all these characters who all had the common denominator of they had some type of relation to Spider-Man. But the biggest problem was Spider-Man wasn't there. And then they had the audacity to be like, okay, since we don't actually have the character Spider-Man, let's try to put an entire cinematic universe on the back of Venom. Like, no, I want people to really think about that. I know that there are Venom fans out there. I know there's motherfuckers who got that picture of 90s Venom tattooed on their back somewhere. I know you motherfuckers exist. Y'all are trash. But no, seriously, think about that. Who actually believes that Venom can carry a whole entire universe?
He needs Spider-Man.
Thank you.
Venom is great because of Spider-Man. Because initially, Spider-Man is technically the first person to be. He's like kind of the first Venom, and Venom is he's a byproduct of Spider-Man.
Right.
So it's like, I don't understand. It doesn't get me excited either. Like I love I love Spider-Man. So yeah, Venom's up there in terms of top Spider-Man villains for me, because I grew up with a lot of those stories. But when you just have a Venom movie, I'm not nearly as excited as opposed to like a Spider-Man versus Venom, or I don't even know what title you'd go with. But it gets me way more excited when I know that, oh, this is a Spider-Man movie and he'll be fighting or interacting with Venom, not just straight up Venom.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, there's very few villains in fiction, as far as comic books are concerned, that can carry a solo title.
Yeah.
Joker, honestly, personally, I don't think he can, but there's enough fucking people who love him for some reason. I believe they're the fucking school shooters out there. Hey, I just call it what I. Hey, how many times do you look on social media and people are gassing up Harley Quinn and Joker? I'm just saying.
Oh,
but no, it's just I don't understand how. I don't understand how Sony thinks it's a good idea prior to them taking back Spider-Man. I don't see how it's a good idea that they think they can get away with all these characters who are reliant on Spider-Man's presence and thinking, oh, we could just make movies off of them. And then here's the real nerve of everything. Sony had in the Sony had the nerve to say in a news interview or article to say that what was it?
We try to stay true to the comics.
Yeah, that which is bullshit. I'm not even gonna give that energy. But
like no one has, like, even with the MCU, like, I mean, I would say the MCU's tried to stay the truest to it, but I don't think there's ever been a point blank perfect true to the comics superhero movie.
yeah, and
Like,
that's
ever.
and that's fine. Like that's honestly fine because I don't want to just see a carbon copy. I mean,
Right.
if you can pull it off and it's badass, I'll take it. But I do appreciate a remix. But that being said, the quote that I'm thinking of, they said is we thank Kevin. I'm going to paraphrase it here. We thank Kevin Feige for all of his marvelous work, but now we have the template to go forward on our own.
So we can copy and paste what you guys did.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what my initial thought was when I read that quote? I'm like, bitch, the template for Spider-Man has been around since 1976, and y'all didn't get that shit right once. I don't want to hear that shit. And then you have to think about y'all are only now deciding to pull out from this deal after Marvel did the heavy lifting for you. Like, y'all, it's clear to see what was Sony's touch, what was Marvel's touch. The part, I know I do not hear another fucking train. Mother, I apologize to anybody listening, but I am. Oh my god! But look, Spider-Man is such an iconic character. Sony has fucked it up 5 times. Three of their first movie, 2 movies of the reboot. And I know there's gonna be people like, oh, Spider-Man 2 was the best Spider-Man movie ever. Well, of the live action. I got a question for y'all because I'm getting tired of y'all fucking gassing up Tobey Maguire's bitch ass.
You know what? Ask me a question, David. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm one of those people.
Okay, then again, this is gonna be directed towards you. You get my anger today. Tell me, do you remember the plot of Spider-Man 2?
Yes.
I call bullshit, and I hear this goddamn train.
I had to think about it because I actually haven't watched it probably in a good while. But it was like my, I mean, Doc Ock has always been like one of my favorite Spider-Man villains, and it was cool to kind of see him, you know, kind of like you were saying earlier, how he was kind of remixed, like presented on the big screen. I think they actually pulled him off pretty well. I thought his backstory and like his reason for doing the things he's doing for the most part made sense. But it also introduced like the iconic story of kind of like him losing his powers, and they obviously, it was way different from the comic. But I think it was just, I don't know. I have to go back and watch it because it's literally been at least a couple years since I've watched it. But I just remember walking out of that movie, comparing it to all the other superhero movies I walked out of, and being like thoroughly satisfied. Like, okay, like that checked all the box. Like it met all my expectations, I guess. And maybe I have too high of expectations for movies now, but Dave, please tell me why you like Spider-Man 2 so much.
I can tell you exactly why I don't like it. Like that, what you said is pretty much the mentality of everybody who gasses up Spider-Man 2. I remember how I felt watching that movie. It's like everybody who I have ever asked what was the best part of Spider-Man 2, almost 9 times out of 10, Doc Ock. I get it. He was the best part of that movie. But I saw that movie recently. I saw Far From Home on opening day or day after opening day. And then I went back to binge watch all the Spider-Man movies prior, including Spider-Verse, which is hands down the best Spider-Man movie period right now.
I agree. Yeah, that is still my favorite. That took number 1 spot for me.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I watched all 3. Fucking the trilogy is trash. You know what? Fuck it. We're getting into it. Look,
I think I feel like the third one is definitely like I don't know.
Third one is definitely the worst. That's not even.
I think that might be the worst ever. Even though Amazing Spider-Man 2 is a freaking close. It's really close.
Amazing Spider-Man 2's weakest point was how they did Electro. That's pretty much it. Everything else was actually executed pretty damn well, in my opinion. Granted, it still wasn't great, but for what they were trying to do, that was a nice execution. They even did the Gwen Stacy justice, even though they remixed that one. Like
yeah. I thought.
Go ahead.
I thought they did the same thing where it was kind of like Amazing Spider-Man 2 could have been great if they would have left out someone. They didn't need to have Rhino in there at all. That made no sense. Like that was just they just threw him in there. But I feel like if they focused on just an Electro movie or just a Hobgoblin movie or I don't know, slightly tweaked it, I think it would have been good. But I think it ran into the too many villains / too many plot lines going everywhere problem that like the third one. But for third Spider-Man 3 was more than just that. It was more than just. Besides, like, you want to talk about that might have been a plan too. Sony did a great job for making sure that no matter when they brought Venom back, it would sure as hell be better than what they did with that movie. Like, I don't know if you can do Venom worse.
Was it really though? Like, okay, I said it before, and I'll stick by what I said. That Venom movie, everything other than what the fuck is the dude's name? Tom
Hardy.
Yeah. Everything outside of Tom Hardy and Venom was trash. Like
it was.
Like Tom Hardy, he was fine as an Eddie Brock. He wasn't the greatest, but he was fine. Like, he served his purpose. Venom was funny, though I still don't agree with the direction that they went. But yeah, those two, cool, whatever. The rest of that movie, y'all could have threw that shit out. And
you know what it felt like?
What?
It felt like it had, because, and I think it was either an article you shared or something I read from somebody about actually how Marvel, I don't necessarily Marvel Studios, but Marvel creative people and like technical people actually helped them with Venom because they're struggling for such a long time and how to like do him properly. And so you know exactly what it felt like? It felt like when you saw Venom in the trailer and everything, you're like, oh wow, it's a Venom I could see in the MCU. But oh wait, it's a fucking Sony movie.
Yeah.
It's a great Venom in a Sony movie. And most Sony movies just feel so cheap. I'm sorry.
Yep, because Kevin Feige actually did have a hand in the creative process of Venom, though he came in later down the line and he only was able to clean up what he could.
Imagine what it would have been like if he didn't even get his hands on it at all. It could have been possible. I don't know how, but it could have been much worse.
Yeah. So again, you got Sony trying to bank off of MCU's pretty much better management and creativity thing. And I'll take the line that I got from an article. Sony pretty much just said, we can win the championship without fucking Michael Jordan. What the fuck? What the fuck? Like, the audacity of this bitch. Like, I just can't wrap my head around it. Like, am I crazy? Am I crazy to assume that Sony made a dumb decision here?
No.
Like, okay. Like,
I'll be kind of like you're saying, devil's advocate though, but I think on the flip side, you'd be crazy to think that this is just 100% purely like Sony is trash garbage.
No, because
there's a lot of people that are saying that, and it's like, especially in business, like it takes two people a lot of times to like F something up or to to make things complicated.
Yeah, it definitely took two to tango with this, and Disney was being greedy like they normally are. But I said it before, if the roles were reversed and it was Sony who had the majority of property rights, if they were the corporate giant in charge of all these superhero movies, do you really believe that they wouldn't do the same exact thing Disney is doing right now?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Like,
they're all trying to make money. They're all trying to get their bottom dollar.
Yeah, they're trying to get the maximum amount of money. If Sony had their way, I guarantee you they would have bought out fucking Disney. I am fully understanding and I am totally agreeing with that Disney should not have a monopoly, but at the same time, I don't care about that.
I love how people still talk about how like I don't like monopolies. It's like, then why the hell do you shop at Amazon?
Right.
Like that is a monopoly, like if I've ever seen one. A global monopoly, not just like in the United States. That's like a freaking powerhouse if you want to talk about like companies with a shiz ton of money.
Yeah, why do you habitually buy the same brands of something when there's cheaper options out there? It's like I get it. I understand Sony's stance of no, we don't want to lose out on our cash cow because Spider-Man is a cash cow. Let's not get it twisted. But 900 fucking characters and the only ones that you wanted to do had relation to fucking Spider-Man. Like, what? I would love to be a fly on the wall during those board meetings. like they just pull out the fucking PowerPoint presentation of all the characters that they have, and people are like, okay, so Spider-Man was given to the MCU, or we loaned out Spider-Man to the MCU. Can we do any other character that we have? And I'm just like the image in my head is like everybody in that boardroom is like, no, just Spider-Man. Like, but what about Black Cat? No, just Spider-Man. But what about like I don't even the one thing I don't know is okay, what characters do they have?
Right.
Like outside of the Spider-Man centric characters, I don't know what that list entails. But if I as a comic book fan, I could tell you that there are some characters who have potential gems. Like Blade was a reach when he was first made a movie. Like,
oh yeah. Like it was random too. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah, random as hell. Granted, if he would have came in after Twilight, that I don't know if he would have succeeded. Because that was a bad time to be a vampire movie. Yeah, it was. But yeah, like okay, you had matter of fact, yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, you had Blade that became successful enough to make three movies in a trilogy. 2 of which were still highly praised. The third one is kind of more splitting hairs.
I still enjoyed it though. Like it was still a good popcorn movie.
Yeah, it was still entertaining. Like Zach and I were saying for a while now, Blade is the John Wick of superhero movies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But then you get the MCU when they first started out. Let's not get it twisted, people. Iron Man is not an A-list character. He is B-list at most. I would arguably say he's actually more C-list, but
especially in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
like it's been a long road for he. Even in the comics, he got a lot of his stardom by being in other heroes' stories.
Yeah, he was typically only in Avenger roster, Avenger stories. Same thing with Captain America. Well, Thor was actually more popular, but even he relied on being an Avenger a lot. Right. And like the people that y'all gas up now, the people that y'all love from the Avengers, they are all low tier characters. None of them are
A-list.
Like the only A-listers that have popped up in MCUs thus far are Ultron, Thanos, Spider-Man. That's it. I want y'all to think about that.
Even like people knew about Captain America too, but like I feel like especially with characters like Superman and stuff, like no one wanted to give him the time of day for his stories when there were other kind of main stand-in characters.
Yeah, we have the Boy Scout template already done, but yeah, just think about that. The MCU took all these no-name characters that not everybody knew about and made them fucking skyrocket in movies. Sony has relied on the one character who everybody knows about. That's like Warner Brothers relying on Superman and Batman, like they have done for ever.
Like they've been doing.
Yeah, and y'all see how well that turned out. So it's just like,
dude, that's what Disney needs to do. They just need to go like total 180. Forget Spider-Man. They need to buy DC Studios and Warner Brothers and then it's all going to be made by Marvel Studios.
Oh no!
The Man of Steel by Marvel Studios.
Ew! I don't like that.
They would take it and rebrand it. They'd be like DC Studios. People wouldn't.
No, you know what? You know what Marvel would do? They would not make a Superman movie, and they'll put in fucking Hyperion or some shit. That's what they would fucking do. Like they would not. They would be like, okay, since we own DC, let's not use DC and put all of our Marvel clones of these characters in there. They would replace the Justice League with the fucking Squadron Supreme. What the? Oh my god! Please don't let that
Condiment
happen.
Man, dude. I thought that was fake. He was like in the Lego Batman movie, but apparently he was an actual villain. Condiment Man.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh, you don't remember Spider-Man's greatest arch nemesis, Stilt Man?
Oh yeah, Stilt Man. Oh man, the freaking classic.
The fucking 70s were weird as shit.
Yeah, I have that. Like, I bought a collection. It was like, I think it was actually like 1969, I think, but it was like when they had the first like long running Spider-Man cartoon. I think it was based more off the like newspaper stories of like, unless the comics, but it was there's some freaking gems in there.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny stuff.
Back when Spider-Man had a Twinkie addiction.
Yeah.
God.
Oh my god. If people only knew.
Like, yo, I got some dirt on Spider-Man. If he was a real person, he would get roasted the fuck out. But no, going back on topic, even though we've been ranting and well, it's been mainly me. I apologize to y'all for that. I mean, matter of fact, don't y'all should be angry like me. Why the hell are y'all giving me the same energy? Why am I the only one ranting right now? Like I feel like I'm crazy the more I talk.
Probably just end of the workday, a little tired.
Y'all some bullshit. Y'all.
I almost feel like I start to get like annoyed or heated, but then you just say what I'm thinking, and I'm like, all right, there it is. I can relax. David has taken the burden upon himself.
So I'm the universal angry translator. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Oh my god, y'all making me sound crazy as fuck. But I don't know. It's just that I'm just looking at this freaking chart again. Like,
all the characters.
Yeah, I'm just like, it looks so beautiful when you look at the Marvel Circle. I'll probably post this on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Like it looks so beautiful, but then you got Sony's bitch ass taking
this obnoxious like moon-sized amount.
Yeah. Like I'm not even stunting fucking Universal because they got characters I don't give a shit about. Well, except for She-Hulk. She-Hulk is fine. I actually want her back in the MC Marvel. I fuck MCU, but. Fuck MCU, but not at the same time. Don't fuck MCU because they got so many of my characters in there. I can't help it.
Well, and yeah, they're like especially when it comes for more no-name characters or like not as well known. Like MCU's kind of like the only hope for like I'm still. It was supposed to be a Netflix series. I don't know if they'll do a movie or what. It'll probably never happen at this point. But he's my second favorite superhero of all time, and I might get hate for this because a lot of people call him a copy of a very other popular character, but I am a huge fan of Moon Knight.
How I know you were going to say favorites. That shit.
And but I'm just saying, like that. If you just break him down as a character, like putting just his character without the superhero-ness in a movie, it'd be freaking great. It'd be crazy.
I'll give you that. It's just I'm always surprised when somebody actually says they're a Moon Knight fan. It's like when somebody tells me that they're a Namor fan. I'm like, y'all exist still? What the fuck?
But he always pops up in the games too. I'm like, really? Like even as a Moon Knight fan, I'm like, why is this dude always sneaking into Marvel games? No one to this day knows who he is, but people have been playing games with him in it like for years.
But you know what? Something I just thought of when you mentioned Netflix. A complaint that I've been seeing float around about Disney taking more and more
their new thing. Their new
no, not their streaming service, but the worry that I see a lot of people have regarding Disney getting more and more rights to superheroes is we're not going to see a rated R movie ever or any type of mature content. And at first I was like, okay, that is actually a concern. But then I thought about it, I'm like, No, that's really not a concern because look at Netflix. The three, well, it's actually four, but I almost always forget Iron Fist. Uh, the four Netflix Marvel character, well, five. Damn, I forgot Punisher too. But yeah, they were all fucking mature as hell. They were gory. They were fucking they were bloody. I'll say that.
Yeah.
They cursed a lot. They did all that stuff, and that was on a streaming service. You really think Disney won't do the same thing?
Well, they already. I don't know if it was like a shorthanded promise or they were just like blowing smoke or something to appease fans, but I know fans initially were like on Twitter reached out to Disney and were just like, "Hey, by the way, if you PG-13 Deadpool, we're gonna like destroy Disney Studios. We're gonna come kill all of you." and Disney, no. Deadpool's still gonna stay R, and I think what they're gonna do is like, even though they own Fox, I think they might still use that branding. So when they do an R-rated Deadpool movie, it's not going to be the little Disney castle or Disney logo.
Yeah, they're
going to
have
be like Fox or something.
Yeah, there's going to be a degree of separation there.
Right, like it's not that they're not going to do it, but they're going to try their hardest to be like, just remember, this is kind of like an appendage of Disney, not necessarily Disney itself.
Yeah,
in terms of content.
Because think about it, all the MCU movies, do you ever see the Disney logo pop up? It's always.
I was just thinking about that.
It's always the Marvel logo. So if Disney,
I totally just realized that just now.
Like Marvel. I mean, Disney has put a degree in separation of all the shit that they own. Like there's things that Disney owns that people don't immediately recognize. Like I wish I had gotten the list, but Disney's got shit that people don't realize that they got hands in. They got, I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I thought I saw that Disney actually has a hand in ESPN.
Yeah, they own ESPN. I was just gonna ask, don't they own it?
Yeah, like they got hands in that. Do you see ESPN changing up? Well, ESPN has changed up a little bit, but it's not. It's
but
not
it's still ESPN.
Yeah, it's still essentially ESPN. So it's not like Disney is afraid of mature adult content.
It's not like ESPN is bringing in these star athletes and be like, "Hey, you're gonna wear this goddamn Mickey Mouse costume in these Mickey Mouse ears."
That would be hilarious as fuck. Like you're not seeing fucking Hannah Montana commentating on a football game. Like, so it's not. So I think that worry is unfounded. Truth be told, like, and also for Deadpool specifically, you forget Fox didn't even really do anything with Deadpool. That was all Ryan Reynolds. He's the one who got the money for it. He's the one who essentially wrote the script for it. He's the one who got the people for it. Like, that was his baby. So I'm pretty sure Disney, whenever they decide what they want to do with Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds is going to be at the helm of that again.
Hope so, yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, he carries that character for sure.
Yeah, and considering that the MCU or Marvel Studios has been branching out for different like they don't have the same directors for all these movies. They literally pick new people for every type of movie. So they have a plan. What the fuck does Sony have? Please tell me. Like they are trying to greenlight a Morbius movie. Who the fuck is looking for Morbius?
I like Morbius too.
Fuck Morbius. You know, look, you want to know the first time I heard about Morbius, and I am a avid Spider-Man fan, I fucking heard about him from the animated series, and I'm like,
that's how I found him out, yeah.
Like, this fake-ass anime-looking motherfucker, y'all trying to tell me he's the one y'all want? Fuck that shit. If you're gonna bring a vampire in, guess what? MCU has Blade. Why are y'all even trying to challenge it? Like,
well, and he could be like at several points. Hasn't he even been a villain of Blade too? Like he could be a Blade villain.
Yeah, in the comic books, Morbius is the reason fucking Blade became a vampire. So, but
wait, did he still have the thing that freaked me out in the animated series? Is he had like his suckers in his hands? I thought that was weird as hell.
I don't fucking know. I don't read Morbius. Morbius doesn't care. He doesn't matter. Like that's what I'm trying to get across here. Who cares about
blood? Hey. He was unique. He didn't take your blood. He like sucked out your plasma.
That was from the cartoon. That was like censorship bullshit. But
that's funny.
But yo, look, this is how stupid Sony is. They are the vampire that they chose to push is Morbius's bitch ass. You literally have a better version of vampires in Spider-Man's mythos. The fucking inheritors are the psychic vampires who literally are a multiversal threat. You have a movie called Spider-Verse. You did not decide to get the Inheritors? What the fuck are y'all doing? Oh my god. I am heated now just thinking about that. What the fuck?
Well,
what?
What's his name? Not Morgan. Who am I thinking of? The dude he is a vampire, but it's not like his main thing.
Moreland.
There you go. Moreland.
Yeah,
like, he's a vampire technically.
Yeah,
right?
he's an inheritor. He's the one who killed.
Okay.
He's the one who killed Spider-Man and who Spider-Man actually had to kill, breaking his code because he was that fucking dangerous.
Right.
Yeah.
That was like one of the best Spider-Man stories, though. That would be if Sony was gonna try to hit a home run with an original, like a story, that would be a good place to start.
Y'all hear?
Because I don't want to reboot. I want a. I swear, if I mean, I understand if Tom Holland still plays the character, whatever, but I would love to have a 25-year-old plus seasoned Spider-Man that's been doing this for like years already and already has gone through villains, and we just get to see like really, not necessarily obscure, but these really cool, like darker, like Spider-Man stories. I think would be sweet.
And that's rest in peace to Uncle Ben, because you know his ass is gonna get killed a third time. What?
Wait, Adam, did you share that meme? It was a meme of like Uncle Ben preparing himself to die. Oh no, Spider-Man preparing himself mentally to witness Uncle Ben die for a fourth time.
Like, y'all gotta stop disrespecting Uncle Ben in this bitch. Like, I am tired of this shit. Like I swear to God, I should probably add this in since we didn't say it before. Sony has said that Tom Holland is still going to retain his role as Spider-Man for their movie verse. They didn't say it specifically, but these motherfucking trains, I want to fucking kill somebody. What they didn't expressly say it, but what it sounds like Sony is saying is that they're pretty much going to piggyback off of the storyline of Tom Holland's Spider-Man and go from there, because the one thing that was always in question since he's been introduced in the MCU is what happened to Uncle Ben. And there was an article that said that we have not expressed the reason why we have not expressed what happened to Uncle Ben is we felt we wanted to focus on Spider-Man's story. It's still up in the air of what we want to do regarding Uncle Ben as a character. And that was also, like, originally everybody thought, okay, they just didn't want to do another origin because everybody and their mama knows his origin story. But apparently they left room to interpret, okay, what happens with Uncle Ben. Is that the fucking police? Oh, shit.
Coming after them trays.
I hope so, shit. But nah. So there is a chance. I'll try to be fair to Sony. I don't know why the fuck am I trying to be fair, but I'll be fair and say they may not do another origin story once they get started doing their Spider-Man stories, movies again. But truth be told, they got 5 movies. They did it already twice, and they technically did it again with Spider-Verse with Miles's uncle dying. So it's just like, y'all kind of got a fetish for those uncles getting killed, don't you? Like, what's going on here?
And I was like, like half of $1 billion still better than not $1 billion. Like not like any like percentage of $1 billion. Because I was like, even though like Disney's offer initially is like very greedy, it's very out there. You can see why they turned it down like without question. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like if I'm Sony and they love, I mean, I feel like they don't even, as far as what I can tell, they don't have a big emphasis on, superhero or even like science fiction films in the first place. So it's like, why not just let Marvel keep pretty much doing all the work, making Spider-Man awesome and great, and you just get something from it without really having to do anything. Like Sony's not doing that much besides throwing some producers in there. I don't think they're really contributing all that much.
Yeah,
besides the actual rights.
Yeah, the heavy lifting has been done by Marvel Studios. Yeah. But the one other thing I'm going to bring up that I know people, if they've listened this far into this fucking podcast, is people are be like, well, how Sony is clearly in a better direction with Spider-Man because look at Spider-Verse. I want to address that real quick. Spider-Verse was undoubtedly the best Spider-Man movie. I think we can all agree to that, yes?
Yeah, for me, for sure.
And yes, it was made by Sony. Like, that's undeniable. But I want people to understand that Into the Spider-Verse was a animated movie.
Right.
What does that mean? What does that got to do with anything? There is a different flavor when it comes to animated movies. There is more that you can do. There's less you have to worry about in certain cases. You don't have to, for one, you don't have to worry about star power. You don't have to, all those little things I hate about live action superhero movies, like superheroes pulling off their masks when they really shouldn't do it in a certain situation just because they want that face recognition or some bullshit.
Right.
Characters who really don't deserve more than like 2 lines in the entirety of a movie. Halle Berry looking at your ass. Yo, fine ass. Like, I'm sorry. Storm was not important in those X-Men movies. She was not. She had no spot, but because she kept pushing for more lines, she got the dumbest fucking action one-liner in superhero history right now. And yeah, that's the kind of shit you gotta deal with in a live action movie. In a fucking animated movie, you get your lines, you say that shit, you shut the fuck up. You don't get any say in that. But, and then it's the fact that this wasn't Peter Parker Spider-Man. This was Miles Morales. Somebody that nobody really, the mainstream audience did not know about him. So that gave people a chance to judge him on a fresh slate. Of course, there were going to be the people who are like, "Oh, this is just Black Spider-Man, and y'all could all suck my collective black dick." But, but sorry, that was old anger. But, but nah. So, but the complaint that I'm having with Sony is they have not gotten Peter Parker Spider-Man right. Miles Morales, if they want to continue with him, I'm willing to give them the fair shake on that. Peter Parker, they had 5 chances. I'm done with them as far as I'm concerned.
Well, Into the Spider-Verse as well. It's another thing to note from, I guess, maybe the more business standpoint of it is, to many people, I think it's actually a very popular opinion that is one of, if not the best Spider-Man movies ever made. And yet it did not do very well box office wise. If I remember right, I don't think it grossed that much money. It was actually pretty low.
Yeah.
Especially compared to their other, I think it was the lowest grossing Spider-Man movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, comparatively, yeah, it was. It was
I mean, maybe it was still a success on a smaller scale. But that's the thing that scares me too, is that people like aren't appreciating how great that movie is, and I really hope it doesn't hinder like future movies. I'm assuming they're going to keep it going, but if people in their cheap ass wallets keep the sequel from getting made, I'm gonna be mad.
Oh no, the sequel's already been greenlit for Spider-Verse, but
okay.
I think that's just more so attributed to the fact that there's this weird stigma in Hollywood when it comes to animated movies. Like, if it's not a Pixar or Disney animated movie,
It's gonna suck or something.
it's gonna suck, or it's just not gonna gather as much attention.
Or it's like a money grab. Like, you're not spending as much to make it, and so you're trying to make, like a holiday movie, will make X amount of dollars. Yeah. Like, just if you get something out there.
And then you also got to remember, it was a movie made under the Sony brand. There are still people. Clearly, there are still people who are burned by the last 5 Spider-Man movies from Sony. So when you got the MCU, who is popping in these streets with superheroes, when you see a superhero movie that's not made by that brand of Marvel, you're gonna give it the side eye, like, I don't know if I want to spend my money on that one.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors that can go into the fact that Spider-Verse didn't make as much money, despite all the love it's been getting. So, I mean, like, if we just go purely off of numbers, the Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 1, those are arguably the highest grossing movies of all time. or for the superheroes anyway of the Spider-Man franchise.
Right.
But if we purely went off of numbers, then I would probably be saying Justice League was the best, or Justice League Dawn of Justice was the best DC movie. Like,
right.
And I will not say that. Y'all can suck my dick. The only DC movie I acknowledge is Wonder Woman. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with that. I think I've ranted long enough. Shit. Yeah, we're over an hour on this bitch.
Yeah.
Okay. Final thoughts. Final soapbox moment. We'll start with Adam.
Sony, give Marvel back Spider-Man, because y'all clearly don't know what the fuck you're doing. Let's just animate it.
Okay. Kyler.
Yeah, to, I guess, follow along with Adam said, like, there's no way in hell y'all are going to make even close to even $2 billion in Spider-Man money if y'all keep making Spider-Man movies by yourselves and not giving it to the MCU. So if anything, Sony, do the smart thing. Just ask Disney right now for $2 or $3 billion to just own Spider-Man, because that'll be way more profitable and way more useful to you now. And just get over it.
Okay. And as for me, you know what? I'm going to say this. As much shit as I've talked about Sony on this episode thus far, I will say, do not boycott Sony yet.
Yeah, do not. Yeah.
Do not boycott Sony. If for everybody who's saying they don't want a Disney monopoly, okay, fine. We give them a chance. We'll give Sony a fair chance. Let them come out with a Spider-Man movie. If it does not match or exceed what you expect from Marvel or any superhero movie at this point, then I think, would it not be fair to say that Sony dropped the ball and they should totally give Spider-Man back at that point? So, with that being said, fuck Sony! I want my motherfucking Spider-Man on Marvel right now! Y'all got me fucked up around here! Anyway, I am tired of y'all shit! Y'all are gonna stop playing with my goddamn emotions when it comes to this damn character. Y'all gonna give him back to Marvel. We're gonna have a happy ass day, and I won't have to go unload the clip on y'all asses. Figuratively speaking, not literally. Do not commit physical violence.
Everything David says is not meant to be taken seriously, and blah, blah, blah.
Except for fuck Sony. I am on this shit. Give me matter of fact, fuck that. Don't even give it to Marvel. Give me Spider-Man. I will handle this shit from now on. Shit, y'all got me fucked up around here. Anyway, this has been the No Justice Podcast. Be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel under No Justice Network. Check us out on our podcast on Podbean. Kyler, do you have anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so if you guys are familiar at all in the Ascended Nerd Universe group, I run a small page on Facebook called the Noom Network, where we're focused on and all things about video games, and there's a lot of exciting news coming up. So, yeah, stay tuned for new content from the Noom Network.
And I will have a link to that in the descriptions of this video below. This has been the No Justice Podcast. Signing off. Deuces. Fuck Sony! I want Spider-Man back, damn it!
That's gonna be the end.